Good afternoon, everyone. I check then. I'm one sure. Scott doesn't know what day it is. I don't know what the time is. We're all over the place here. Welcome everyone to another HubSpot updates. Where Sans Richard today he's cried off poorly bad. He's not feeling very well. He's got a bit of a cough. So we're left with us three. God help us. It's me, Tony, from Real Inbound, one of the founders of Real Inbound, and we've got Scott and James, the founders of HubSpot, our very close, almost incestuously close HubSpot partners. We're both, sorry, James, didn't mean to scare you then. Two completely separate platinum partners who work very closely together for reasons yet to be fully understood. But anyway, that's us. We're here to regale you with HubSpot tales of daring do and updates. And as usual, there's quite a lot to get through. We're going to go through the last 7 days of updates that have come out of HubSpot. I will share the screen so you can see the updates, and the chaps will hold forth on their thoughts, how we can best utilize these updates. You will see the recording of this. You'll see it on LinkedIn, obviously, because it keeps the recording, but you'll also see it on the YouTube channel, the Real Inbound YouTube channel, and if you are one of our community members, you'll see it in the HubSpot updates section of your Sidekick app. If you want to know what any of those things mean, obviously let me know and I'll tell you. How are you guys doing? Scott, James? Happy, glad to be here.
Pretty
raring
good.
To go.
Yeah, it's a good week.
Good week.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Okay, without any further ado, then let's have a look. So just make sure that people can see things on the screen. I'll just move you around a little. There you go. Your bubble brothers now, very close to each other. That's better. So let's kick off with the meeting assistant, shall we? So this is a tie-in, as James was saying earlier, a tie-in of the meeting assistant to the prospecting workspace. James, is that fair? Is that what we're talking about?
Exactly. Yeah. So the meetings part of the prospecting dashboard was what was pretty basic when the prospecting dashboard first came into beta. It did show your calendar, so you wouldn't have to switch to Outlook to look at your calendar or wherever your calendar is. But now it's going to pull in insights from other relevant information around the CRM that pertain to that meeting. So if you are a sales rep that sits on doing demos from 9 to 5 or pretty much from 9 to 5 every day, then you can live in HubSpot while you're doing that on that dashboard and not have to go hunting around the CRM every single time you get a new demo come up, for instance, or a new call.
As you can see there, on the insights, you get a summary of the notes. This is all provided by ChatSpot, I'm assuming. Call summaries, email summaries, website visits, and an overview of the record. So put in that stuff. There you go with ChatSpot. Put in that stuff directly into your preparation for your prospecting calls. Yeah, Scott, any thoughts? Any in addition to James, perhaps?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a new feature, so I guess it's we'll just have to play with it to see if it's a useful or not useful feature and the quality of the output. But I think it's heading the right direction.
Yeah. So I suspect this is this new sales space, further work to make this sales space a bit more powerful, maybe. I don't know. Is it a private beta, the sales space? I've still not been invited into it. I've requested an invite. Have you seen it yet, James? Have you seen this sales space? I think it's going to replace the prospecting space.
I have not seen it. No.
No. So I wonder if it's one of those things that's going to be launched at Inbound, maybe. But it's definitely coming. Say they're tinkering around the edges with some of these tools, like the meeting assistant, for instance. But I think there will be a sales space that's basically enlarged from the prospecting space to include everything else, I guess. Okay, talking of which, we've also now got dynamic sequences. You were very excited about this, James.
Oh, I was, yeah.
You were, but then you weren't.
When I opened it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, because there's always that conversation. Do I build a workflow or do I build a sequence? Which is the better for my use case right now? Marketing workflows good to be dynamic, go in different directions based on behavior, be more personalized. But it's a marketing email. It's going to hit the promotions inbox in your Google account if you're using G Suite. Whereas sequences, more rigid, less flexibility with that. But it goes in as a one-to-one email, so the deliverability and the visibility is better. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, does this mean we finally have the best of both? The answer, as far as I can see, is not really. It does. It is giving a bit more guidance. So the sequence is like covering both scenarios, because what happened previously is the content keeps going until someone responds or they book a meeting, and then it stops. But nothing really for like prompting the sales rep when there is actually a positive response to take action. Whereas this is about showing some manual actions or tasking manual actions to the sales rep when the sequence does what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
So useful, but not quite as useful as if they made sequences like workflows, which I'd love to see.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it almost sequences almost feels a bit like a cheat, like you say, because it allows you to send in emails in bulk without having to go through the marketing email tool, and
Mm.
therefore marketing subscriptions, and therefore permissions and all that kind of thing. But at the same time, there are very different rules to a one-to-one outreach or a sales email, if you like, and a bulk marketing email. So I guess they are trying to keep that relationship intact. Trying to ensure it's a one-to-one email still. In
Yeah,
spirit,
yeah,
if not in reality.
yeah. That makes sense.
But
And
go on.
I kind of feel like it's they'll probably move to more like kind of like more intelligent decisions as well in the future. I feel like this is the preparation for like, okay, a customer responds. Do we stop the sequence or do we keep the sequence going based on how they respond? And does it shift to a different paradigm? So, being a more event driven, event driven kind of workflows and sequences, which HubSpot kind of has but doesn't have in many aspects.
Yeah, yeah,
So it misses the event-driven decision making. So this looks like it's kind of heading towards opening up event-driven decision making.
yeah. No, I'd agree with that, and I think, James, that's what you were probably hoping for a little bit more of when you saw
Yeah,
it.
I hope so at some point. Yeah.
But again, I'll remind everybody we're counting down. It's like 3 weeks till inbound or something.
Mm.
And as these things flood out, continue to flood out, they're going to keep the big reveals under their hat for the conference itself. So I'd expect a lot of these are little enablement pieces,
Mm.
for maybe bigger announcements. Okay, cool. So for instance, that one, by the way, everybody, if you're interested, is a sales or service pro or enterprise subscription. So you're going to need customer platform sales or service pro to get that specific upgrade. Contextually turn off bell notifications. Oh, Scott, you're talking about events. There you go. So if something is the case, it's not going to ding. It's not going to ring your bell. Is that what this is saying? Did anybody read it?
Yeah, it just seems like it's minimizing the notification. Turn off chat conversations assigned to you. So I think it's just minimizing minimizing the overwhelming notifications. So
When you've got it, so rather than having to go to switch off all notifications like most people do, switch off the nuclear option, just disable everything. We just got a
yeah,
little bit more control over what we can and can't see.
which is yeah. I
Yeah,
mean that's
without
always the
going
sales
back.
the sales dilemma, right? It's like what is too much information, what is not enough information. It's getting that
Yeah.
that balance. It seems like that obviously some people are getting too many notifications here.
No, and the next one plays into that as well. It's the same thing, really turning off pop-up notifications. So again, contextually, so it's allowing you. I think, James, what I'm seeing here, you can actually switch them off at source. You don't have to go into your notifications panel in the settings and then find what that notification is under, be it desktop, mobile, other mobile. and then the type of notification. You could just hit those 3 buttons and switch it off. That's basically what the change is it?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, how many times have we been asked that question by people? It's such a pain to find all of that and navigate it. No one knows how to do it. This just makes more sense to have it here.
Yeah, like you would in most software. It's one of those. Okay, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, this will be popular. Log Microsoft Teams phone calls in HubSpot. Even though it says low, I suspect this is going to be higher for those of us who are stuck with Teams, which particularly affects those of us in UK and Europe. We're way more Microsoft biased than Google, I suspect.
Yeah.
Google's always had a better integration with HubSpot than Microsoft, given that HubSpot's a Google partner. And the Teams integration has been relatively poor, but they are upskilling it. It is getting better. And this has been a bit of a bugbear as well. The ability, you can make a phone call from your Teams number, I think, but this obviously is a closer integration with Teams calling. So if you've got Microsoft and you've got Teams, well, you will have Teams. Teams calls are an add-on to your Teams subscription, right? So you can pay to make the calls through the through through Teams, and now you can log those Teams directly into HubSpot, which was a gap previously. So you've got AirCall, it does it automatically. You've got Kixie, it does it all automatically. If you use HubSpot numbers, it does it automatically. If you put your own number in there, it'll do it automatically. Now,
Finally, Teams has joined the party.
Finally, Teams has joined the party, exactly.
This seems to from last week you didn't actually have these items, but there was a whole bunch on OAuth. So one of the things that HubSpot hadn't really done in the past was handle authentication, more like with external systems. So last week they had a whole bunch of Google OAuth and Microsoft OAuth interconnection. So probably they had to get that out of the way for things like this to work properly. So I expect we're going to see a lot more of these bigger players like HubSpot aligning with Google and Microsoft a lot more interconnected than it has been in the past, because of the issue is with the security, right? If you've got an app, then you've got to do double OAuth. You got to go to the app, you got to auth to HubSpot, you got to auth to Microsoft, and if any of those go down or has a problem, then you can have problems with your authentication. Now you're kind of skipping the plugin part to be able to start, getting better real-time integration between. It seems like Microsoft and Google seem to be their top priorities here.
Yeah, no doubt. That's a very good point, and it's again illustrative of the size of HubSpot. That it moves relatively slowly to do some of these things, but because security is such a priority, as you said there, Scott, as an insight there, I wouldn't really appreciate as a non-developer. But the last thing you need to do is to start switching on features that are going to pull the rest of the platform down. So it does perhaps feel a little bit slow in coming, but I'm sure there is rationale behind those delays. Smart content for CTAs sounds interesting. CTAs being calls to action for those non-marketers in the room, and this is going to be adding, well, I'm going to guess without really reading it, smart content to your CTA, meaning that you can, well, James, tell me, what is it, before I go off on a big long explanation of what it isn't, why don't you tell us what it is?
I mean, yeah, actually, you're getting there. Like, I mean, yeah, you can use smart. You've been able to use smart content for quite a few different things within marketing emails and pages, but the rules around CTAs, because CTAs they've sort of existed as their own thing separately within HubSpot. There wasn't really an alignment between the two, so this is essentially making sure that you do your smart content with CTAs the same as you would any other kind of content in your marketing assets.
And it basically means add in rules, right? So you'll show different CTAs in different conditions. So, for instance, if they're a subscriber or a lead, and an MQL or an SQL or a customer or an evangelist, as you can see on the display there, then different things will happen depending on. You'll see a different call to action. You'll see a different picture or a different message on the button or something like that.
And yeah, I feel like this is kind of going in hand with their prospecting and other things, right? So now you know their industry, you know other kind of prospecting core information. So rather than having some general CTA, you can definitely kind of drill down and specialize on the CTA for each customer. So I think that's yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting. You know, a lot more conversion optimization flexibility here.
It's funny. I can't speak for a lot of the other platforms, but these are some of the things that you would think you would be able to do. So it is good that it's sort of delivering on the promise. Smart content and personalized content, I think, has always been a bit underwhelming in terms of what you could actually do. Sounds amazing. Can't speak for other platforms, but in HubSpot, it's kind of like a different color scheme, or say maybe different modules within a page and things like that. So it is cool. It is cool to see it becoming more sophisticated. We got one for Scott AI here, I think. Company summaries on records, Scott. So you can now access a company summary card to build quick context on your company records. So you can see that we can switch it on. Add cards, select the company summary card, and then save and exit. So you'll get, let's have a look. Can we make out this visual here? You'll get this little card in the feed that provides you with a summary of the company. Nice little feature. I'm assuming it's been driven by ChatSpot.
Yeah. And I think that's the exact same one as what you mentioned in the that James was talking about earlier in the calendar summary. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a exact same thing, just slightly different focus.
in a different place, but they are useful. I'm seeing these things sort of crop up in the portal, and in fairness to HubSpot, we do criticize them on occasion on this little update. Luckily, there's only us three on it, and nobody else is listening. But this is this is a nice experience, right? When you go into the software and you see an addition and it is seamless, it does work in line with everything that you're doing and your expectations for the platform. And I found a lot of these. Scott, you may say, HubSpot, you're probably right, HubSpot behind the curve in many ways. Most of the ones that make it through are really well thought out and actually pretty useful. I've just seen a deal score on my app, on the mobile. I thought that's absolutely brilliant. It's a great user interface and a brilliant addition. It's just I somehow can't get it onto my desktop, but it's there on the mobile app. Okay.
Yeah, I would certainly say this is an improvement because the whole summary tab that they have on companies, contacts, deals, etc. It was basically pulling in information you could see in other places, like you had the tickets, the deals displayed there. Well, that's on the right already,
Yeah.
and I mean, I've lost count of the number of times that clients have said, "Can you pin more than one note at the top of the timeline on a contact or a company?" Because they want to display that information, some front center information that's relevant. And this is basically doing that and giving you ways to do it in an easier way with stuff that you need to see.
Yeah. Yeah. No, good point. Good point. A sunset. We've got a sunset warning. We're going to get rid of something in August 20. Oh, sorry, that's the history. Okay, so a new set of life cycle stages properties for contacts that offer more functionality than their predecessors. Ooh, this feels quite big. Sunset in the current legacy contact properties, starting on November the 20th, and then new life cycle properties. Life cycle stages, I should say. I'm confusing everybody probably. Life cycle stages are being updated. Only accounts open prior to August 2024 will be active. Oh, because obviously everybody who's opening an account now has the new life cycle stages. So what are the new life cycle stages? That's what I want to know.
There's a couple of things there, like they sync lifecycle stages now between contacts and companies, so it's sort of one inherits from
Yeah,
the other.
makes sense.
Also, the fact that you can customize what they are, which is something that Scott and I have been playing with a lot with funnels recently.
Yeah.
So I mean that's been around for a long time. It just needs to be aligned. Everybody needs to be doing that now. So time for one to go, really.
Okay. Are there new ones, or is it just a customization? Have they called them something different?
No change in the standard ones. No.
Oh, okay. So it's just a different way to operate. Ways they work across the CRM slightly different, tweaked and improved. I guess does that kind of summarize it?
Yeah. Being able to customize them to fit your life cycle. So like
Yeah.
obviously with the standard ones, and yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I'm in with that customization because obviously you want to measure your conversion rates and your time duration. So it seems like that update, the latest ones allow us to measure your, whether you use the bow tie model or whatever funnel, it's allowing you to really kind of drill into those levels and measure the time deltas between them. So you could do before, but I believe this one allows you to force the order and the structure, and the time elements objects were not so easy to use before. So I think they've kind of simplified the getting your time metrics versus your conversion metrics there. So that should be, if you're someone that measures their conversions very, very tightly, I think this is going to make a fairly decent impact if you're not using them already.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fair point. Like it. Right. Marketing events data now available in custom reports. This is another fairly big. It's saying low impact, but on a basis,
Yeah.
I'm sure I read this before. Maybe I don't know if they've done an extra step here or increased its availability or something. But really, really simply, if you're building custom reports in HubSpot, you can now grab the marketing events data.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Market events, of course, very useful for when you're tracking things like offline events or if you're running webinars and things like that. Those are valid marketing activities that need to be measured and factored into your funnel and to your reporting. So yeah, that's data you definitely need to see in your reports.
It's been marketing events as being very heavily criticised in the past, not least by me, because it's a bit useless. And you could only use it really, for instance, if you integrated with something else like Eventbrite.
Mm.
But I think it's another one of those things that HubSpot are sort of driving forward. I think it's given nod to Max Cohen and Hatley and all those guys, Dax Miller and these guys. I think some of this has been driven by the ecosystem as well. So when people are building apps for stuff, like the Happily Events app, which is fantastic, plug. It seems that HubSpot sort of take a look at it and think, okay, maybe we need to bring some of our own stuff a little bit more up to speed. And say another plug, if anybody is listening, keep an eye out for Quote Happily, which is being launched next week, which is going to change the way and what things you can do with quotes in HubSpot. It'll be quite interesting. So I would be keen to see what HubSpot are then going to drive natively off the back of that. Contacts API upsert by email. Now, obviously, I know all about upserting via APIs and things, but I'll let Scott explain this.
Yeah, this one, threw me a little bit, but I managed to get it. It's like in databases, would probably be calling this like a replace command, you know, um, based on a unique property. If it exists, create it. If it doesn't exist, you know, update. Like if it exists, update it. If it doesn't exist, create it. So this kind of feels handy because if we're talking about syncing like application data or different portal data into the HubSpot, then you're kind of taking a few of the steps out of the process. So you're avoiding that kind of overhead of you know before we had to query the data, see if it existed. If it didn't exist, create a new record, blah blah blah. And this is just being able to do the whole thing in one go. So it avoids that extra 3 API calls and
Okay.
and creating duplicates, like that was something they're mentioning here. It was an issue, and I get that, because if you have syncs which break halfway in, or systems that break, then it's kind of time consuming to resolve them. So this should just kind of help the more of a one attempt approach to trying to sync data, and if it breaks, you can just rerun it again and not worry that it's going to create all these duplicates. It's going to replace if there was already the record. So yeah, basically a replace command.
Cool. That wasn't a bad explanation. I think I followed some of that. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. Thanks, Scott. Okay, let's go to page 2. Let's rearrange the screen. No, I think everybody can see. Okay, another low impact, but sounds quite intriguing. A new home for marketers. Now, I read this as a refresh, really, of the campaigns tool. Or is it more than that, James? Did you manage to look at it?
Yeah, I have. It seems to me like a continuation of what we're seeing with the customer success dashboard, with the prospecting dashboard that you mentioned is changing soon, giving everybody somewhere to land when they get into the CRM. Like when you go into HubSpot for the first time, it'll ask you what page you want your landing page to be. Some people just dump themselves in the contacts or the deals, but at least it gives you somewhere where you can see an immediate overview of everything that's relevant to you. So some of that is campaign related information. It's also getting the marketing calendar in there for the like the I assume that's for the social posting. Any outstanding approvals of content, if you have a content approval process in place for publishing of landing pages and website pages, etc., and marketing tasks from your task page. So just centralizing that, just like they're doing for sales and service.
Yeah, cool. Okay, sounds nice. It sounds a nice feature. Index settings tab. This has got bigger impact, which is ironic because I don't know what this is. Indexing settings tab. Okay, so we know what a settings tab is. We know what an index is. What's it doing? You'll now see an index customization tab for any supported object when in settings. You can access this page by selecting the settings gear icon, and then you can do what? It adds a tab to settings to make setup easier and page management more consistent. So I've just done 35 videos on settings. Now they've changed it. Hurrah!
Excellent. Um, yeah, like I'm assuming we know, like on
I
the
got it.
lists pages, like contact list, company lists, etc. You have the views. This is essentially allowing you to, as an administrator, to dictate those from day one. So when a new user comes in, they get their views, whatever's set by your organization, all the filters you want, and so on, preset on your account. You have to set it up fresh for every single person.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes more sense. I was off, as I usually do. I do at least one of these. I was off in a slightly wrong direction there. It's not about the settings sections per se. It's a setting in some of the settings. So it's an index card that allows you to change, as you can see, these views, customize all views, customize default view, or toggle the deal object view in that case.
Yeah,
and it
it's
lives
good
as
because
an extra, yeah, it's an extra tab on the settings.
yeah,
Cool.
I think it's good because the stuff with the custom views and so on, it's always been a bit Wild West. Like everyone can create their own. They can, I mean, yes, everybody's got their own things they need, but there are standard things you need company wide. And the problem up to now is if someone creates those views and then they leave, someone else wants to edit them, you have to clone every single blooming one and make them again, and then everyone has to add them onto their view again. So it is a bit of a pain. And now that's going back into the hands of the super admin to ultimately have control, as they should on everything.
Cool. Unless you make everybody a super admin, which is another conversation entirely.
Yep.
Freezing multiple columns. Now, I remember back when the name column used to fly along the screen with everything else. So you'd have no idea who you were talking about. And when they brought in the freeze for the first column, I thought my life in HubSpot was transformed. Now we're going to be able to freeze multiple columns. That's right, isn't it? That's what this one's saying.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't get that wrong, Tony.
Gee, I tell you what.
I guess this is kind of appealing to people who are moving from spreadsheets a little bit. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we all have those clients and people, or team members as well, that are coming onto HubSpot. They're very used to their spreadsheets. They manage data in a very spreadsheet centric way, and for them to be able to adjust to HubSpot, they want to have those features so they can continue working quickly, and to adopt the system, they want to like not have to slow down and relearn everything from scratch in terms of data management. So this helps with that for sure. Another increment on that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think you can only take it so far. I always use the terminologies. HubSpot is like a super spreadsheet, but it doesn't really act like a spreadsheet. It's sort
Mm.
of, it takes you so far. So now that you can edit in cells like you could on a spreadsheet, and freeze multiple columns like you can on a spreadsheet, it's bound to help close that gap down a little bit. Nice one.
Yeah.
Okay, portal level unsubscribe link setting. There's a mouthful. Admins can now control if unsubscribe links are used in one-to-one emails for all users. This is beautiful from a data protection perspective, because those little tinkers in sales, you know who you are. They go around adjusting their own settings and pulling pulling friction out of the process. Let's say, but an unsubscribe link is pretty important, as you have to offer it by within processes to everybody that you communicate with. The downside is on this link, just as a little aside, I find a lot of people unsubscribe from everything by mistake. So they see, maybe, I don't know if it's just they see the unsubscribe link, or they just are fed up of a marketing email, and then suddenly you can't send them anything. But that's another story. This allows admin, as we've seen, basically to create the setting for everybody across the board, so nobody can get out of it. Salespeople have to have it in their signatures, and so forth. That may be what we need to be more aware of here, is what the text is saying. To make it clear to people that actually they are unsubscribing for everything, if they are unsubscribing from everything, and that includes emails from salespeople.
Yeah.
But a nice admin tool. Okay, content remix permissions. This is live, it says. You don't have to opt into this one. So it gives users more granular control over who can generate content with content remix. This sounds like a desperate climb back, doesn't it, from from where we were before, where you've got all sorts of people generating AI content left, right, and center. Do you think that's what's happened?
I Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think the thing is, like, with content remix or any of this generation of content, I mean, it still needs to fit to the company strategy. It still needs to fit to the the objectives of what you're trying to achieve in your marketing and sales. So, just giving the keys to everyone, of course, like, there's no quality control. There's no remixes. It's just going to take what it can see and produce the best output. That doesn't mean it's the right output. So I think you know, that's just a general issue with the generative AI is, you know, that I always like to say, you give it to an assistant and then you say, rewrite this article, but maybe they're not necessarily communicating the right values or the
Yeah,
right issues. It's just going to do the best it can do on the knowledge it has. So, it's a very powerful tool, but it can also be a very dangerous tool if the instructions are not set right and the directions are not set right.
yeah,
So I think, yeah, I think you're right. Like, they gave the keys, everyone started using it, and then they're like, "Wow, this is not really what we want," or you know,
let's just roll back a step. Yeah,
exactly. So I think
we
it's like anything, right? You're gonna make your content plan. You're gonna need your AI content plan as much as you need a content plan, and you're
yeah,
gonna have to align them together.
yeah.
It's
That's a
not
good way to put it.
a magic bullet.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What you're saying, Scott, is we can't have nice things. That's what you're saying. We get nice
well,
things,
you
and
can,
then we break them.
yeah, All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, deprecating open tracking for cart abandonment. Well, it's clearly hopeless because they're deprecating it. It's been replaced by another system. There you go. It's not. It's not that it was hopeless and nobody ever used it. It was actually that from September the 2nd is going to be a change. Ooh, September the 2nd. Isn't that? Is that inbound? Is inbound? No, no, no. Inbound's way further back in September,
That's
isn't it?
next Monday.
Yeah, that's really close, isn't it?
Yeah. Out of interest, have you ever used cart abandonment in marketing emails?
Not in HubSpot. No.
Yeah. Fair enough. I haven't either, to be honest.
No, no.
I've seen the module in there for products in marketing emails, but never really used that much.
No,
I think I
we
have, but I
yeah.
think it. Yeah, I just remember there being a lot of issues with it. Not being able to really know much about the card or something like that. I don't recall, but yeah, I remember it was more ended up being a very generic
Yeah.
thing because of how it was set up. But so maybe now it's more a little bit more specific. I don't know. I guess we'll find out
It's going to be an
come
improvement,
September.
and I'd imagine if you're going pure HubSpot for your ecom, which is unlikely, I guess, but they have made various improvements to the ecom bridge, to the functionalities, payments there now, payment links, and invoices and all that kind of stuff. This feels like it's in the same line, so that if you're using Spotify, then you're integrating with HubSpot. You don't need to do anything in HubSpot from an abandoned cart or a remarket perspective because you probably do it all in Spotify. So if you are using the native ecom tools in HubSpot, then that obviously this is going to be it's going to be good news for you. Um, okay, where are we? Share, contact, company, deal, ticket, and customer object records. What does it mean by share them, James? What are we talking about here? Do you know?
I think this came up last week, actually.
Yeah, I
This was
thought I
about
recognized it. Yeah,
sharing records, rather than based on team permissions and user and individual user ownership, like making that more granular. So yeah, I don't know why this is coming up again, but
Hmm.
yeah, probably because it's just so important.
So yeah,
Yeah,
go on, Scott.
definitely pros and cons to this one. I'm gonna see like working with Google, you know like Google Drives or something. Some companies are very disciplined, have great structures, and they use that structures for their permissions and things like this. Sharing out very rare documents, and then you have other companies which it's just like
It's
chuck all your
just
documents everywhere and just share
yeah,
everything, and you get this kind of permission nightmare. So it'll be interesting to see if how companies implement this, if it's going to be developed well or end up being a permission web nightmare.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah,
and checking GDRP on this, I mean, or what's the data transfer stuff. That's going to be
Well,
let's see.
that's
It's going to
probably
be
what's driving it.
interesting.
Yeah, that you need data portability as part of GDPR. As you said, you have to be able to share this information, not least with the data subject themselves. So that will be interesting. Excuse me a sec. Would you guys like to carry on with team emails while I talk to Alex off screen?
no worries. Um, yeah, so this one is, the never log list is the whole thing about where if there's communications with certain people, um, you don't want those to log into the CRM. So, for example, you might put your company emails as never log so that no one's emails about their pay rise accidentally get onto their contact record in HubSpot for everybody to see, or certain external parties where you just don't want that data visible in the CRM to anybody, even your super admins. Then you'll want to you'll use the never log list to block those domains and those individual email addresses. Team email is what's used with the conversations inboxes, so like your hello at, in our case, hello at upstart.io, or your info ats and things like that. What you'd use is your incoming emails for support tickets and for sales inquiries and things like that. So essentially, what they're just doing here is that if those, like that email that's going back and forth through the conversations inbox or the help desk, using the team emails, that will respect those same never log rules. So if stuff ends up hitting those public accounts and those in the inbox, stuff won't log that shouldn't, just like it would be for the one-to-one email.
Always a pain in the neck. The login, the use of team emails, shared inboxes, block in, log in. It's almost not worth doing it, just because it causes so much hassle for everybody.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a good improvement then.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, this is really nice. I think it's another one that's low impact, but I think will have a big impact on user experience. Recommended product updates. So again, guessing a little bit, you could set this if you're a sales team, for instance, so you see the sales product updates. Let's have a scroll down a little bit. Yeah, recommended for you. So you'll actually have, in the same way, if I scroll up a little bit, we've got the new to you, and we've got all product updates. Let me just move the screen over a little bit so you can see that. And move my head. Good grief. So you'll also have, as well as the new to you and the all product updates and the ability to search via the date, you'll have a recommended for you. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
It
Better use
sounds
that.
like
We'll demo that when it comes on to this.
that'll be looks like an individual level. So for people that aren't even looking at this screen, we'll be able to.
Yeah.
It seems like they'll be able to request the beta straight from the screen where it says recommended.
Oh, is that right? Not just on the product
It
update
says
screen.
No, it says recommended bar somewhere.
What is it? Customers now view curated list of
Recommended.
product updates recommended based on the team's usage. How is our product teams considered as recommended updates? Once you approve the beta, recommended tab will appear at the top of the side nav under new to you.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Oh, so just on the updates bit, it does read like it would be in the pop out
I read
sidebar,
it.
doesn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking recommended tab would appear on the top side nav. I read that as on every page, not as just on this specific page. So yeah, I'm wrong. I'm
No,
wrong.
I can't believe I got one right. Did I get one right then? Did we recording? Hello, testing. Okay, cool. I like that. Recommended product updates. That's really cool. Edit, delete, permission.
covered that before.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
last
jump
week.
over.
Yeah.
Edit and delete
And
permissions for
too.
CRM emails and lead scoring.
Same.
We definitely covered that, didn't we? So this is an update to, if you missed last week's enthralling episode, an update to the way lead scoring works, which was we were all in agreement is about time. So we flashed through. We're a little bit earlier this week. Lots of little updates, perhaps building up to inbound as we mentioned. Lots of UI improvements, little improvements really to the use of the platform. None of which can't be overcome by the usual things like making everybody super admin and, and stuff like that we talked about. But it continues to improve, continues to evolve every week. So yeah, check out the YouTube channel, if our Real Inbound YouTube channel, and I believe you post this on your YouTube channel as well, guys, on HubSpot YouTube channel. Do you post the update on there as well?
This video,
Only on
no, we
LinkedIn,
paste on our LinkedIn. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll see it. You'll see it there. You'll see it in the community updates as well. If you're a member of the HubSpot. If you're a member of the Real Inbound community, you'll also see it appear in your Sidekick app. Thank you very much, gentlemen. A pleasure as always.
All right. Thank you.
No
And we'll
worries.
see you all again next week.
All right. Catch you later.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.